So I don't hang out with my grandparents very often, so when I do, I try to make the most of the time that I have with them. And so about a few summers ago, I was going to spend like the first 2 weeks of my summer vacation at my grandparents' house. And, I went there and it was fine. Everything was fine. But a couple days in, they said that they were going to visit one of their friends. And I was confused at the time. I was like, I'm over. Okay, I'm the important one here, not your friend. And I just didn't really understand why they had to go like it was like an hour-long drive to go see this person, and it just seemed really inconvenient and like a bad time to do it. So I asked them, and eventually they told me that this dude has polio and that he can't walk. He's in an iron lung, so the only way they can go see him is if they like have to drive all this distance to him, and that he's not doing well anymore. Polio is a very old illness, and all the people still alive that have it are very, very old and have been in iron lungs for a very, very long time, haven't been able to move for a very long time. So this is one of their last opportunities to see him, and so even given the bad timing, they still want to go. And I decide, just for the sake of being able to hang out with my grandparents and not just be home alone all day, that I'm going to go with them. And so we start driving, and eventually we get to the place where they got him or whatever, and we walk into the room and see him, and his name's Tony. Fucking Tony. He's this bald, like, Italian guy. I mean, he's a stereotypical Italian as it gets. And my grandparents are talking to him for a while. I'm kind of sitting in the lobby, and I guess at a certain point they started talking about me, because after being in the lobby for a little bit, just looking at like the vending machines, trying to like reach inside of the machine to get something, and failing miserably in front of a lobby full of people, my grandparents called me down to like the room or whatever, because they were like talking about me, and Tony wanted to talk to me for a little bit. And it seems as if we have a visitor, but so I go down to the room, and I'm a little bit freaked out, because this Tony character, I mean, I don't know anything about him. He's just some old dude my grandparents were with, and I feel like that's the thing grandparents do, where they try to introduce their grandkids to their friends, and it's just, there's no 12-year-old that wants to talk to some 80-year-old who they're not even related to. Unfortunately, though, for me, I still have to, and so I get in the room, I start talking to him, and, I'm just like, hey, what's your name? Oh, Tony. Hi, I'm Evan. We go through all the basic shit, and, we keep talking. We're talking about old video games and stuff, because obviously his old ass remembers them, and I think they're cool. So we're talking about like fucking the Atari, we're talking about Nintendo. Eventually he tells me that one thing that he used to do is, like before he had polio, is whenever he would get home from work, he would go and play the Nintendo, like the original Nintendo, and if his family tried to stop him, that he would, like, for lack of a better word, just like be really fucking mean to them. And obviously, I'm beating around the bush there a little bit, but he said that basically his nightly routine every single night was to get home, get on the Nintendo, and open like 3 different cans of Bud Light, right? And then just chug them all. And he had a little like pregame to get on his fucking Nintendo every night, and then he would just neglect his family. And so I asked him, I'm like, well, what family are you talking? Is this like your parents or something like that? Which, I mean, I can understand if it's your parents, but this dude says it's his wife and his 2 daughters. And that really surprised me, because I was just, in my mind, it's like, if you get home from work, this really long job that you're doing, and why else would you do it if not to provide for the family that you have? But I'm not going to ask him this, so I just kind of continue kind of playing his game a little bit. My grandparents had like left the room or something, which might be why he's so open to talk to me about this ridiculous shit. But yeah, he basically said that he just neglects his fucking family, but then he also says like, yeah, and then whenever when my kids get their report cards in, if they're bad, it's a bad day for them. It's a bad day for them, he said. And I said, what the fuck does that mean? He said he would make them like pick up hay and move the hay like a mile. He said he would literally take his belt off and beat the shit out of them. He said they wouldn't be able to walk for 2 or 3 days. And so I'm like, this dude neglects his family, beats his family, and is probably a functioning alcoholic. And here I am talking to him in this iron lung. And he's really starting to piss me off, and he keeps going on these tangents or whatever. He said, one time my daughter was at school, and she was hanging out with this queer boy. And I said, what the fuck, man? What are you talking about? He starts going on this whole homophobic rampage or whatever, because, this dude was born in the fucking 40s. And he just got the worst world views I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why he wanted to talk to me, a 12-year-old white boy, about politics, but eventually he starts talking about about like VLM and the Black Lives Matter shit. He's the type of motherfucker that was like, the George Floyd it was not a murder. It was not a murder. It was drug cause. He's one of them. All right. And so I really get the full picture. This dude paints a picture of who he is for me in about 5 minutes. It's very clear to me that he's the type of person that has very outdated thinking and is also very, very entitled and very stubborn. It's like I'm not even talking to him. It's like he's talking at me, which makes it all the more funny. Like this was all critical information he had to share with some random kid or something. Because he's talking at me. He's not talking to me. We're not having a conversation. He's just telling me these things. And it just seems so unprompted. And he's really starting to piss me off. And I'm trying to tell him that, consecutively as he continues telling me more and more ridiculous shit that he's done. And he's just not getting the message. So eventually I'm able to get myself out of the conversation. And I go back to the room or whatever, like the waiting room. But now that I've been back at in the back where the people are being held, one of the nurses is talking to me and she's like, hey, let me know if you need anything, and we're here to help. So I asked them, I'm like, hey, do you have any laxatives? And, it's kind of a weird request, but I guess for, some circumstances at the the hospital, you do need them. So they for some reason, give an unattended 12-year-old just a whole bag of laxatives. And now I'm walking around this hospital, basically, with all these laxatives, and if my grandparents see me with them, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing with them? So what I do is I put them under my shirt, and at the time, I'm fat as hell, so I'm able to make it blend in, and I, with it under my shirt, I go and I walk down the hallway, and I'm doing some fucking, in the hospital in The Last of Us, in the last scene where you're trying to kill all the guys, and you're going around with the AK-47 that's dog shit. This time instead of an AK, it's a bag of laxatives that I'm about to poison a polio survivor with. But I'm trying to dodge all the nurses and stuff, make sure they don't see me with this really suspicious growth under my shirt. And eventually I get back to his room, and he's asleep. And it's been 15 minutes, and I don't know where the fuck my grandparents are at this point. I mean, they for all I know, they could be in the back porking. But he's asleep, and he has a little drink of fucking Tang or something like that. And I just pour as much laxative as I feel like I can get in there without him fully noticing. And then I make a loud noise, I drop a chair or something on my way out a little bit, or I let the door slam a little bit. And I know that wakes him up, and then I'm back in the waiting room or whatever, because unfortunately with this play that I predicted in my head, or that I came up with in my head, I don't get to see the moment where, he blows ass uncontrollably. And so I have to wait in the waiting room just for disaster to strike, and that it does. Usually polio survivors, from my understanding, they have to be they had to poop and pee in a poop pan, like they're I don't know, they just got out of some serious injury, like they're Hank from Breaking Bad. But there was no poop pan in sight this time. His poop pan was the same thing he was sleeping on. And he, absolutely let it fly. There was no holding back the gates of heaven whenever he had that shit. It was like a clogged sewage tank that you just opened up or something. It was like those videos where there's a flood, and then they take and pull the grass out of the grates or whatever, and then all the streets go back to normal. It was like that, except the grass in this scenario is the laxatives, and the water is his diarrhea and shit, and everything swimming around in his insides. I don't know, there's probably a lot more going on there than we could ever know. But he absolutely, saying that he shit himself is an understatement. All right, there was more shit than person in that room, in the iron lung. And what had happened is all the shit had started to leak down into the electronics and shit of this iron lung. And eventually the iron lung started to get fucked up, and this is a $400,000, $1 million hospital piece of equipment. And the iron lung completely shuts down, it shuts off, and this motherfucker, it doesn't take him too long before he dies. And I had fucking killed a man. And the reason that he died, just so you know, is when you have polio, it's it gets to a certain point where you can't even control your breathing and stuff like that. So the iron lung just kind of compresses you and makes you breathe. And so once that turned off, he from being in there so long had lost the ability to breathe naturally. And so he's just suffocating in this pile of his own shit. I'm sure it couldn't have smelled very good. He's got a half drinking cup of Tang on his side, and nobody in that hospital room. And then when my grandparents had come back, they saw that, the war crime that I had left in there, and obviously they didn't suspect nothing of me, so they just ended up, calling the nurses, getting them to do the best they can, and then we ended up leaving, and they never found out that it was me who poisoned the polio racist. And that's basically the story.